Good morning, Tor. Can you hear me? I heard nothing. Can't hear anything. Yeah, the input seems to be good, and Tor seems to be silenced. Hello, Tor.
Hey, yes. Hi, I'm here.
Nice
Had some equipment malfunction. Yes, yes, thanks. I hope you managed the urgent release
yes,
schedule well.
But that urgent release is for a demo, and we still have to work to make it to the production.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a demo for investor, and they are happy with it. We will see about that.
All right. Well, that's good. At least they're happy. They're the people with the money. So.
Yeah.
Good.
Let's wait for other people.
Yep.
So how is holiday?
I was good. I was in Germany. In southern Germany.
Able to go very far?
No, I didn't. Yeah, that's it's not really the best time to go very far on holiday these days. So yeah. But I mean, Germany is also nice. I hadn't been to southern Germany before, so it was fun. It was interesting. Very pretty and lots of good beer. So good.
Of course. Germany is a nice place.
Yeah.
I went to Bathurst, which is a small town about 3 hours away from Sydney. Serving the family, they want to go out, so I have to drive them. And the furthest that I can go is probably Queensland. Queensland is roughly the size of Germany, a lot less populated, with a lot of forest and desert. Anyway, I didn't go. I mean, just if I could, this is the first place I can go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well,
because half of Australia is locked down.
Yeah, I heard that everything just got like really bad again. Like, oh, that sucks. At least it's still going well in Denmark and Germany, but the numbers are increasing. So let's see what will happen. It's still low, but
how do you guys solve the border patrol problem?
I mean, there's usually border patrol between Denmark and Germany. So, and I mean, they added it again next to with the border to Sweden as well.
Yeah, there were no border patrol between New South Wales and Melbourne, so they used the drones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because what if somebody go through the mountain trail?
Yeah. I mean, like between
with the European
yeah, the borders haven't been that restricted here either. I think it's only the main road. I think the few people that would go over like really nature routes. I mean, it's so few. It's not gonna be the big issue.
Yeah. Hello, Boone. Hello, James Brown. Hello, Sunil.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, so everybody's mic is working. So we have a lot of topics that has stacked up due to 2 weeks not having Token with Swift weekly meeting. I think I'm going to prioritize what work needed, like a sort out a to-do task to get the email attestation A3 project going on, and also like to arrange a separate meeting between James Brown and Boone and me on sorting out the to-do items for key management. That's the 2 items. Other than that, I will let you know a few decisions that I made without the team, because I think we didn't have the meeting and the decisions are too small, so I just decided. So maybe the smaller topic first. One of the decisions that I made is from now on, every card must have a name.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
In the script.
Yeah. TokenScript, and I have retrospectively added all of the check this forum post. Maybe I should share my screen.
That helps a lot with forming the item view as well. Because one thing I noticed is that we have to add a heuristic to work out what the item view should be called. The title of the item view.
So basically, there are three considerations about requiring every name that I have all considered in this post. This is just my note. I think everybody should agree with that. Yeah, Boon is okay with that, right?
Yes, but James, the title should be the label, not the name. So there is now a name and a label.
Oh yeah.
That's good. But yes, a name is good.
Yeah, we probably can add a label too on a separate discussion. If you have every card has a name, then we can finally talk about launching card from web. So one of the example is if you want to log in with email attestation, how do you launch a card to provide proof of email address, for example? And the second, or if you want to check out with coin, then how do you launch a card that displays coin balance and allows you to authorize a transaction? Or if you need to borrow some money to do the transaction, then you might need a second card that allows you to borrow the money, or a two-in-one card that is called borrow and pay. Either way, you have to have a name to call it. And that name is not a label because you need to call it in JavaScript, not English or Russian. Sorry, I need water. Okay. The second decision that I made is every card now has one additional view called guide view. Guide view is what pops up if you click the question mark on the upper right corner of the card. This is a design Tomek made about half a year ago that we never got around. But I don't know how it surfaced on my to-do list, so I decided to edit it back. Oh yes, because Tomek complained that it's been half a year and it's apparent that every card needs help text. So that's okay, right? Do you need an example? I have a few examples. Or do you think this is good enough? Let me find examples.
But a good example is just like how we did the redeem help page for FIFA tickets, right?
I produced the example, which is not yours, but I like to include yours into the example. Let me share you the link. Okay, I'm sharing this link on. Where is the Zoom is so confusing. Can somebody send me a message? Send a message to the group chat. Maybe that way I can get my group chat window pop up again. I closed it. Now it's nowhere to be found.
Done.
Okay, good. Okay, so this is a link for the second window. This is maybe go direct. Look at the look. This is what Tomek produced a long time ago, and look at the changes, which is simply you get a guide view between cards. Inside card, you can have a card with guide view, or you can add a guide view to a card. Never mind the Spanish grammar. I saw two problems already, but
can you go back to the sample layout? Just have a quick look. Okay, so can you go, what would happen if you press the X above the what is C die? Have you got a layout of that? Yes, but where does the little question mark sit?
I cannot find the design asset.
Okay, okay.
It's somewhere near the aw.app.
Okay.
Can you see that aw.app? It's somewhere below it.
I know what you mean, yeah. Okay, that's a good place to put it, that's fine.
It will work on the web too. If you are going to check out, then you choose to use, then the website says, check out 50% discount with American Express. Then you might click American Express card and the card will say you don't have American Express token, but you can get help message on what it is about. Oh, good.
This will work, but is this feature creep?
If it's not usable on the web, then I think it would be. So yeah.
I don't understand.
I mean, because I think this feature is needed if you use token card or action card on the web as well. So I think it's a basic element.
But then we are not supporting the web yet. If that's the reason for, that's the stronger reason for adding this. It's probably not difficult. It's probably easy to add this actually, but there are tons of things that are easy to add, which we probably choose not to.
How about we think in this way? How do we know that by adding guide view, we are not going to add new views for the help view and the sales view and the introduction view and other stuff, right?
What was that?
So the danger of feature creep or over design, in my term, is that you might keep on adding stuff. Instead of guide view, you also add a itemized view, a guide view, or you might add a tutorial view, a how to get this token view. So there are two guide views, one being introducing this token, the other being introducing it to those people who never seen this token before. How do you prevent this from ever growing, right?
That's one concern, but the other is just this itself, this guide view. Is it necessary? Because it's one more thing to learn, even if the developer chooses to ignore it. It's one more thing for us to support.
I talked with Tomek. My question to him is, do you think, well, two questions. First, do you think, actually three questions, the third one was separate. The first, do you think every card need a guide view, including activity card, including token card, including action card? And second question is, do you think the guide view makes sense for the user if they use it on the web? And third question is, if you provide a guide view, how confident are you that users will actually click that button? One example of such thing that never gets used, like a field set. You know field set in HTML?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the example of good design. I think it's good design. And it never gets used. And Tomek's answer to these questions are yes and yes, and I'm very confident. So I just trusted him and then just go ahead and edit this.
Okay, that's how feature creep happens.
Yes. Okay, so what do you...
And one main way to look at this is there something else which we can implement instead of this, which is more important and more helpful?
There are two things that Tomek suggested, and I believe one is over design and the other is not, but I think you probably have the opposite opinion. So he introduced a guide view for every token card, and he also introduced a guide for every attribute. So if you don't know what loan to value ratio is, for example, if the system asks you, if you borrow this much money, your loan to value ratio will be this %. And there's a question mark right to the loan to value ratio to explain what is loan to value ratio. And that's our two elements. I think having guide view is justified, and having a formula to help to provide help after every attribute is over design. But I got a feeling you think it's the opposite. What do you think?
Put in one way, it doesn't feel like I would die without this. That's how I think of it. There are more important things like finishing up activities.
You are right. You are right, and I'm sure Tomek doesn't agree with you. He thinks it's really important. But then the question is, if it's really important, should it be a TokenScript feature?
Yes, that too. Well, if it's really important, I guess it has to be a TokenScript feature, because how else would we support this functionality?
Tomek has the impression that token cards can be really confusing and really desirable for the user. And this tool is compelling enough to provide a help page. Okay, so in general, I understand your concern that this might be a feature creep, in my words, over design. And that's actually the reason why I didn't put this until this year, one of the reasons. Also, I didn't think it's prioritized enough. But Tomek thinks it's really important because our view of what is important is functionality, and his view of what is important is user journey. So I'm taking this in for the moment. If you still object this, we will do this. We will hold this for the next meeting, where we collect arguments for and against it. But I got a feeling that this can go in. How do you think?
Well, technically, this definitely can go in. It looks like it's easy to implement.
And if we object, will our objection be overruled, though?
Well, there are ways to solve objections, and that is used, for example, in Web3 consortium, and they even have a code of conduct and the resolution method, because these projects are entirely community owned. Nobody can, even the coder who contributed most of the code cannot easily claim that because he did that he can overrule the design. So there is a design process, and similar effort was done in Apache open source project. So what I want to tell you, gentlemen, is that we will come to the point that we must have a code of conduct and a consortium decision-making process. We will come to that point, but I feel this point comes when this is the standard. Presently, we want to make this useful first. And I wish to have a quick decision cycle where, unless there's an important reason to object and concern, we simply just go with it. I know that this doesn't sound like everybody's being equal.
That sounds suspiciously like a certain government structure.
Yes, it also sounds like a company structure, actually, if you think about it. So
anyway, I don't have any problem with it. I think if we provide this tool and people don't use it, then fair enough. And if they do want to use it, and they probably will, then it's something that they have an option to use. Mm-hmm. It's like we're not going to make it an essential. So as long as we don't make it essential, then it's okay.
Talk about applicable. This is quite applicable. It's applicable in every imaginary case and actual case presented in Tomek's design and in Lucas' discovery. So it would help if we have this. And the next question is, if we put it there, will developer A, abandon TokenScript because there are too many things in it, or B, learn TokenScript but completely don't use this section? B is a realistic danger. I feel I picked two examples of where really good designs are abandoned by developers because they don't seem to be relevant enough for the core task developers are doing. One example is the field set I explained to Boone just before. The other example is the multi-class inheritance in CSS. So what you can do is, not only you can define a CSS for multiple classes, you can define a HTML element that uses multiple classes. The first is used widely by developers, and second is rarely used. And actually, it's a good design because it would have solved a lot of problems and reduced, make the CSS a lot cleaner. But developers didn't take it because when they're focusing on task at hand, they're focused on CSS, not HTML. I think that was the reason why. What I'm talking about is the fact that you can specify two classes in the div, and the two classes will be both applied. They are separated by space. And in reality, it's not rarely used. In reality, if you have let's say if you have a action and you have a card, instead of defining the div as action and card, you usually define div as action card written together. And then you have to replicate the card definition. Then you will in multiple places. That's what usually happens. I feel that the chance of this design becoming one of those two is actually less than one of those two. These are the bad examples which I want to avoid, and I feel this is not one of the bad examples. That's all I want to say now. Yeah. So can we take this in?
Sure. Let's move on.
Thank you for a blessing. I was hoping for that. Okay, so this will be in the pull request status until it's actually done. And I already changed the schema to include this. These are the things that I decided in the last 2 weeks without the meeting. Now coming back to the meeting, so now the two tasks are, first, can we itemize the things that we need to do to make the test station A3 work? So one of the things I know for sure that will happen is how to have a JavaScript API to build a data object. So the latest feedback is from hboon here. Everybody can see this?
Yes, but can you paste the link?
Okay.
Yes, got it. Thanks.
Yeah. When you research this problem, I looked into how other people solve this problem. One of the similar problem is the data type of Ethereum that is returned okay, so they are talking about read values, or is it more write-only API? And you think write-only API is easier to do, right? Because they simply create a new object and supply the value you want, and a new object is created, conforming to the schema.
But is the problem you're talking about the problem where if we offer a read API, because there's a choice?
Yes, that's one of the problems we want to talk about. And actually, I think we have to solve the read API problem anyway, even if not in this session. So right now, we provide data with update function. We provide token attributes and the card attributes through update, right?
Yes.
Yes, and I observed that in Truffle, the data is, for example, balance is provided as a big number. Currently, we provide it as a digit, right? As a number, right?
As a string.
As a string. Yeah. So there are two. I first thought that Truffle would do the same, because string is the #1 answer one can think of. But they actually provided big data, a big number, as a JavaScript object. So
yes, we talked about that very briefly because we didn't want to, or were not capable of introducing an additional library then. So string is the only way, to preserve precision.
I see. So here,
because I think JavaScript can only do 15 digits maybe. After that, it loses precision for integers.
Yes, I see why it's a serious problem, because suppose you want to pay back your debt, you have to pay back the exact number. Otherwise, you will have a dust debt, which is expensive and have bad consequences, right?
Yes, and also computation. If you multiply or divide a few times, the numbers quickly go wrong.
Yeah.
If there's loss of precision.
Yeah. So I think we are pretty clear that we want to use the object creation method when it comes to building data object like this, right? We just don't know how to do this. And the choice is, I think the choice is made by simply which object is assigned. And I don't know whether or not JavaScript is able to tell, like the getter is able to tell the type. I think it is, because you can use a 3 quotation symbol in JavaScript to test what is the type. Therefore, the choice is made. I think that looks the most apparent answer to this question, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to the read part a little bit. I won't indulge in this because we still have to talk about how to make email attestation. So can you share? Can you see my Emacs? If not, I have to reshare.
Yet.
Okay, let me
Nope.
reshare. So every time I can only share one, which is okay. Okay, so.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you want to give a 1 or 2 sentence summary? I don't remember if James was here the last time when you were talking about this JavaScript API.
Oh, James Brown was not here. How do you remember such
yes, I don't know if he's lost.
Damn it, you have a machine of a robot. James Brown.
Sorry, was I not? Did I miss one? Or was this like a really long time ago?
You know this discussion of how to build a data object.
In JavaScript?
Yeah.
Is it like how we do it in the TokenScript now?
In TokenScript now, we only build a transaction API, which is very similar. Actually, I want to unify them at a certain point of time. But right now, the issue is how do we build a data object? So data object is first, it has a module. Look at this. Sorry, I need to stop sharing. And just to clarify, Tor was there last time, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, when we decide how to make it, the JavaScript API for generating data object. I think Tom must be in this meeting. Okay, so now I'm sharing again. So James, there are first you have a module, right? This is the module of
in TokenScript
data called subscription. And this module defined what fields are there and what are the limitations and how many arrays are there, for example. And what the task is, we need to provide JavaScript API so that JavaScript authors can populate a data object according to the schema in the easiest way.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I see what it's doing.
And one easy way to do that is simply to supply a JSON stream, but sometimes the data object is more complicated, like generalized time, and sometimes basically the data types in Java cannot be one-to-one matched to ASN1. It cannot be one-to-one matched to Ethereum data objects either. So you always have this problem of needing to create an object. And the second is that sometimes you need to make choice. Sometimes schema allows 2 types of different things, and you can make a choice. And this happens actually also in smart contract, except sometimes you can choose null value. I don't know if you can overload same contract function, actually you can overload, I think, a smart function call. And if you can, then you actually have a data object that has choices. Either way, what I want to say is 2 problems to solve. One is creating data object, creating objects to fit in the data, to populate that object. The other is to provide choices. And the example here is, James, are you looking at this line? The example is you can create a new data object, and then you can populate its values by creating new typed data objects, typed data. And I think this is the way we can give to the JavaScript developers. So in this case, it's allowed to specify time as block height or as generalized time. So the developer can either create a new generalized time and assign it to expiry, or create a new block height.
Yes, I think I was here for this meeting because this feels very familiar. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So So the expiry assignment is actually a getter function. So it's not direct assignment. Something will evaluate if the value is proper and if the type is correct, and make choices based on the type that is provided. Okay, then hboon has this thing that whether or not we should do the write interface similar to the reading interface. So there are 3 ways to solve this problem. Let me share another screen. I think there are 3 ways to share this problem. So number 1, our method. For example, okay. This is our method. I think this should be 3-1, right? Check the same type. You know, two should be 3. I think it's okay. So I'm not very good at JavaScript, by the way. So yeah, you get the idea. I'm not sure if the actual function is called mul. Okay. So the 1 and 2 are clear so far, right? No question.
What is this for?
This is for getting data object.
Why is there an assert?
I know it doesn't exist in Java.
Oh, that's okay. I understand why what's an assert. I mean, why is it asserting to something?
Because this asserting is to show how to use the value in that object.
Okay.
How do you access value in that object? Like once you get the value from an attribute in the data object, what do you actually get?
In line 8, where you have an equality operator, so left-hand side is reading the value.
Yeah.
Are you just saying that right-hand side is what the value is?
Yes. Suppose that. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. Good. Does this answer your question?
Hardly, I think. Okay. Yes, please go on.
Okay. Okay. So the truffle method is this. Also, I think it's the other way around, but okay. Okay, so the truffle method are these. Okay, so James Brown and Boone and Tor, are you there too? It's just interesting. Does what I write so far understandable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and what I think we should be doing is this. I propose, just for a discussion. And actually, oh, I already pasted it to the query. Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry. Sorry, wrong. So I'm thinking that basically what I have is very similar to truffle, except that except that there is also always a constant thing that returns the value in the most primitive format, either a string or a normal JavaScript integer. And also that in my proposal, the transformation is applied first, but forget about that. That's a very small detail. Basically, that is, we also always provide something that is easily accessible. Yeah, makes sense? Whether or not I use a single $sign or dot value, I mean the same. What we use, we can discuss. Or maybe I should
missing a bit of context. Where is this code running?
This code is, well, that object is accessible from both inside cards and outside cards. So it's not certain. But let's say this is inside a token card where a data object is used. Imagine you have a token card. Remember that token card has input and output.
Yes.
Okay, imagine one of the input being an email address attestation, or one of the input being a so I'll give you the card. I feel that this one is going to drag a little bit. We probably don't have enough time to talk about the email attestation. Input. Okay, attestation. Okay. And we probably, I don't know, maybe this part is undesigned, but I just make something to.
So this would also apply to how token attributes is exposed.
Yeah, I hope eventually the way we deal with data object and the way we deal with token attributes are going to merge. Actually, I intended so in the beginning, like when we define attributes, we define them as ASN.1 objects. Although later we use this new syntax, which is ASN.x syntax. But the first one I use like syntax equals to something is actually I just improvised. But there's a formal one, which is ASNX. But either way, I hope that the way we deal with events and data on the blockchain is similar to how we deal with them in the test station.
Okay.
Yeah. So imagine this not being the, then you might have another token. Okay. And then maybe equals to P1. Yeah. So you have multiple inputs, and this will be accessible from within TokenScript. And I think they are accessible to the underlying web service too. And sometimes the underlying service constructs data objects too. So this part of the API is cross TokenScript and the underlying web.
So basically, you're saying that for token data or data objects, each of these fields or attribute values should not use the JavaScript primitive types. We should provide custom data types. Oh. And each one has a convenient property or function like .value, which does something smart. Is that what you're saying?
And if there's a way to still use primitive type, but still allow the use of .value, then primitive type is also allowed. I don't know if there's a way to do so.
Okay.
With the .value in DOM, .value is always a string. So I'm not sure if we should follow that convention, or should we do that? That's why I have this this. See, this versus this. Okay. That's just an idea. You can launch a full-on attack with this module because this is really early. It's not like the previous one that I already changed the schema.
Is this underscore? Is this as like a standard syntax in JavaScript? Is it something that people will have seen before?
Borrowed from the basic programming language. Remember, basic programming language is typeless. If you want to type, if you provide integer, you have to prefix it with $. And if you provide a string, you have to prefix it with, I forgot what, maybe underscore.
What language is that? Basic. It was, this must be the version of Basic that you were using.
Yeah, so remember, basic, dim.
I'm pretty sure my version didn't do that, but I think I had a non-standard version of Basic, so I think mine is different from yours.
Basic, then they removed that. But in Basic, you have to prefix variables. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's just a notion. The concept is here.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
Whether or not we'll copy the basic style or whatever, just the notion that there is always .value or something.
Okay. No, I got it. I was just curious if the underscore was like a standard thing. But
the reason being, in many cases, JavaScript developers simply want to get the value, and we don't want them to learn. But sometimes the JavaScript author wants to get more information. For example, when they are trying to pay a debt, and that has to be 100% correct, and it can easily be out of range of JavaScript integer. also some metadata. For example, if you are writing code and you want to put a help message or the name of the field into the data object, then you can do this. Mm-hmm. I don't know why this do such thing like this. Don't get it. Yeah.
Basically, you want to make it more strongly typed. Sounds good.
Yeah, when it comes to dealing with attestation and the blockchain objects, I think you cannot not supply the original object. Actually, no, you can do the with string. So actually, this is a you cannot just play give the integer. You have to give something. So one of these three. Yeah. So setting context. By the way, I'm not 100% sure if this will be used in email attestation, or email attestation simply have JavaScript API of creating an attestation, not reading it. Maybe we can smartly design it so that we don't have to deal with reading that object. Let me reshare this. Yeah, so now you can see the whole thing. So now, what do you think? So tell me one thing. I think hboon has dealt with DOM object more than everyone. So did you hear developers complain that every DOM object has to do with the dot value?
No, never.
JavaScript developers simply eat it, right?
Yes.
So they don't hit, like instead of getting text node, and then you cannot read the value, you have to use get text node dot value to get the value, and no one hits it.
Yes.
Okay, then at least we know it's not hateable design.
Right. It's just that if you take the example of line 39, where you have the underscore, so it could be dot underscore, dot value, or anything. It's just that if you do computations, for example, if you count both left-hand side and right-hand side of an operator, you would have to type 2 more words. It might become long and more verbose after a while.
Can you explain it again?
So instead of typing price times unit, I have to type price dot value times price dot times unit dot value.
Yes,
just more typing. Yes. But other than that, it seems okay. Stronger typing sounds good.
And you
Even
are you happier with the shorthand like I provided, or are you happy with the DOM method of dot value?
seems like dot value is better
Mm-hmm.
without magic symbols.
Mm-hmm. But then you have to type twice.
Yes.
Mm. And what about dot v?
Seems unnecessary.
Okay, oh good. So what do you think, James?
This is just, it's quite similar to the way the DOM stuff works. So I guess people just have to get used to it. If they're doing web stuff, they probably expect it to work like that anyway.
Yes, but if we do this, I would expect that we would have to modify how our token attribute data is accessible now to adopt this model too.
Yes, it's gonna. Yeah, I'm not sure how that part's gonna work.
So you'll be the same. You have something like a current instance dot price dot value. You just have to type a bit more.
Okay, so so that's the way you set it up. Is you just have a bigger inject module with extra attributes on each each value. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So instead of returning a string or assigning a string or assigning an integer, you would assign a big number, for example, like in 28.
Yes, I feel, I don't know if this is shared between us. I feel this method is better than the truffle method because I'm thinking about providing API for Java developers, JavaScript developers, not for Solidity developers. And I hope there's a little learning burden for someone who only wants to use JavaScript to access stuff like token balance or this, you have to pay how many for this shopping cart of goods.
Okay.
Do you think that this is better than truffle? If I put the perspective of engaging web developer to put tokens on their web?
Should be.
Well, I will write this down as the starting point. Then we can go over this the other details of how to provide stuff, type stuff. Yeah, and then this would also unify the not unify, kind of unify the read and write interface for data objects. So that's what we have today. Time is already up. I think I don't have time to provide a component list of things has to be done for email attestation, but it's really urgent. So maybe I will write a long email and share it across and put a table of tasks and who is going to be doing that and associated with the A3 plan and share it across and start get thing moving. And then Tor, do we have can you find a slot that you can have a separate meeting with me and James Brown on key management, because according to our last discussion, we are going to implement this on Android first, thanks to its Java support, and thanks to the existing code in key management that is written in Java.
Yeah, sure. Whenever it's good for you.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of meetings these days. Everyone is on summer holiday all of July and the first half of August in Denmark. So
yeah, generally free. We should capture the opportunity because I remember last time during Christmas you were quite busy when we were actually free. So now we should actually.
Yeah. That was the issue because all the different projects had to be done by the end of the year. But like summer is usually the quiet time here.
Okay, so good. Then I will arrange a time with you. Let's say maybe in this week even. There's only one day left, which is Friday, but maybe we can do it. But let's find a good time for James Brown too. I don't want to interrupt James Brown's work if he's heavy in activity.
Yeah, sure. Like tomorrow is fine. Anytime, basically anytime next week. I don't really have any meetings. One thing I want.
what is the time you are out of the activity?
Well, tomorrow will be quite bad because I'm right in the middle of it at the moment. Although the today's been a bit of an interruption. Yeah, but sometime next week is fine. I don't see it as something particularly urgent. So yeah.
I will work with you on the task list of email attestation first.
So one thing I wanted to mention in regards to email attestation is it's probably possible to avoid the possibility of brute forcing email addresses based on caching checks by using another kind by adding a little bit more cryptography. So that's one thing. I'm not saying we should do it now, but I'm just saying. The other thing is
this point about the second project of first. The first one is email attestation usable on the web, and the second one is email attestation usable to redeem check, and also the creation of check. So this is applicable to the second part, right?
Yes, it's a yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Good. So sorry, back to you.
I mean, it should also be applicable to the first part. It's just it's possible to add some randomness to the things that still allow efficient zero knowledge proofs, however you want, which doesn't really permit brute forcing. But the other aspect I wanted to just mention in regards to this is it would be a very good idea to actually do something in regards to provable security in this case of what we have in the with the attestation and things like that, because I mean it's easy to make mistakes when you don't actually have a proof that the cryptography does as you intended to. The issue with that is like because of the way the attestation in particular, like the check protocol works, having a lot of different parties, a state, and a continuous possibility of joining and moving away. It's like it's like formally quite challenging. Well, not necessarily challenging, but not super easy to just to prove this secure in an easy way. Like there's some other proof methods that are not as good, called like game-based proofs. But I feel like we should do something in this aspect before actually deploying it in the real world to ensure that that there's at least some formal argument for why this is secure. And in particular, like the way it is now is you would also like to use the strong model for proving secure, that you would need to do something else. So I mean, like this is the weird thing, like with cryptography, that things can easily be secure without any tangible attacks, but based on the methodology of security proofs, it doesn't actually go through, at least in the strong models. If that makes any sense. I know it's a bit of.
Is this about constructing a more secure protocol, or is it about a proof of the existing protocol being secure?
Both. I mean, the more secure protocol should be pretty trivial to add on top, because it's basically just adding a random element to part of the cryptographic construction, based on some, like a lot of previous work. So that's not really that much in that. Like in general, like
Is it very easy for you to produce an instance of the modified protocol?
Like in the proof of concept or description, yeah, that shouldn't be too hard.
If it's very easy, maybe you just produce a modified protocol and we start discussion from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can also learn the reference material as you provide them.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope it's not a huge undertaking. So because basically it's preparing for exploring.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that should be fine. Like the more cumbersome part is to actually do formal security, because first of, like the way it works here in crypto is like you first describe an idealized model or setting of what it means to be secure, and even that is a bit of an undertaking. in a very dynamic and stateful system as we have with like the check protocol. So I'm like trying to figure out like a lightweight way of actually doing some arguments of security and in this setting.
Yeah, and it may as well merge into Alexandria Institution's agenda.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, because I feel like there might be something like not top tier conference, but like mid-low tier conference publishable from with this check protocol. But unfortunately, after we got the new CEO, we're a bit challenged on like research hours of and publication hours because of an internal policy. So I just wanted to mention that this problem or challenge. I don't have like a good way of doing it, because it would definitely take quite a bit of time to do, and I will try to see if I can find some hours in some other projects to do it out of scope and then make this into a publication. But I think the amount of hours needed and the amount of other things that these hours should be used on is going to make it a bit hard. So yeah, I'm not completely sure what is the best path to do to go with this.
But still very interesting. Still very interesting. If you make some comments on the reference and on the protocol, or even slight changes to the protocol, we start from there, and I also try to gauge different ways to so that we can work together. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. That's all very helpful. Thanks everybody. I guess that's all what we can cover today. Forget about the original agenda on the meeting, because that would be too much if we go through them. So this is already very productive. Thank you. Yeah, is that all good, or do you want to tell me something? Otherwise, everybody goes to have beer.
Seems reasonable.
It's good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.